to Men versus Women, first episode where we talk about the battles between men and women, and hopefully we bridge the gap between us. Today, I got my first guest, the one and only Mr. Swindown himself, Bobby. How you doing?
I'm okay. How about yourself, T?
I'm good. I'm excited. You know how excited I am to be here. And I'm just thankful to have you,
Thank you.
Bring your little spice here. I want to hear your thoughts on a lot of things that I feel is important. We got a lot to give to the people.
For real. Hey, Miss Baby, a little nervous.
A little nervous. Okay, we need a shot. Okay, let's go. Let's get started. All right.
Oh, she got that real food in there.
That was good. But first and foremost, like, with the men versus women, like, how it came about for me was being in long-term relationships. I feel like I learned a lot about, like, what makes things work and, obviously how they don't work because they failed at the same time. And also being single, like, newly single, I'm like, it's a different ball game out here right now.
Yeah, but how long was you in a relationship?
That was like off and on, like, that count?
Yeah, off and on count.
I count all them years from the day we first met, when the day we first talked, because it was like over after that.
No kid relationship, or just kids included?
Kids included.
Oh, so that's even more deeper. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it was a long while. I think like 4 or 5 years, my last relationship.
4 or 5 years, yeah.
And then before that was like 6 or 7. So that's pretty much all I know, to be honest. But, off and on, that means like I talk to other people. And then now, like, I've been dating, I've been spending time to myself at the same time. I feel like I got scared, like, it's not for me. Everybody's defensive.
100%.
Well, I'm guarded too, so I'm not excluding myself, but everybody's defensive. Like, what you think the divide is?
Defensive? I like the way you use divide because I tied in the 3 Ds. Defensive, divided, and damaged. So I wonder, like, I noticed, like, I was in a damaged relationship and it done some things to the point where here I am trying to move on and I catch myself over-explaining because I caught myself getting caught a lot of times lying in my previous relationships. So I do a lot of extra explaining, and then here I am dealing with a new relationship, a new rapport, and here I am over-explaining to the point where she's like,
you don't gotta do that.
Do all that.
Right.
Like,
I didn't even think you was lying. Now I think you lying.
Because I was conditioned.
You were damaged.
I'm damaged. 100%.
Okay.
So that was tough to get out of that. But, with knowledge of self, you can always, fine-tune some things. But it takes somebody to notice you do some things sometimes for you.
That's true.
So swap out of that.
That's for sure. So, like, it's a real battle. Like, everybody's fighting to be right. Everybody's fighting to be heard. Men and women are fighting to be alpha.
Yeah, for sure.
We're fighting to see who the problem is. Like, no, y'all the problem. No, you the problem. No, it's the niggas.
Yeah. And you fighting just to win. I think it's like, I want to be right. So so a lot of the times, yeah, I think with the divide, tying it into the list of things you just said, that's exactly what it is. I think alpha for sure. When you in a relationship with 2 betas, that's just a clash. You in a relationship with 2 alphas, that's gonna collide. The last relationship I was in was with an alpha, and we always found ourselves trying to win. Whether it was in the moment acknowledging that or was in hindsight, I'm like, damn, every time it was who can win, who can outwit, who can smart, who can get to the punchline first. And before you know it, it's like, damn, this is not a relationship, this is a competition.
It's a competition. I really want to touch on competition in relationships. I experienced competition in a relationship, not just fighting to win arguments, but like, I want to talk about it on a level where a person is finding themselves and they're winning in life, and the other partner may not feel that confidence or may not be winning in life. So instead of cheering for you, it's like they act like the enemy. They do everything to outdo you. They're not happy for your wins, but They're supportive when it comes to them, like their wins. They want you, now we're a team because you need me to support you.
To celebrate you.
But when it's the other way around, it's kind of, you're duh, you don't really, and you can't say it's all a personality thing. I feel like it goes deeper than that.
No, 100%, because I'm pretty sure when you met at the gate, that personality flaw would have been like a red flag to the point where we wouldn't have got 3 to 7 years in. So clearly it was something in the beginning that intrigued us, and something shifted along the way. And maybe one side it took too many L's, and now they feel like they've matured and they want more, but it's hard for me to see the maturity because of the past. So I think that just comes with 100% of dating past expiration. And a lot of that has to deal with also knowing when you've outgrown somebody to the point where it's time to move on, because this person is either can't get where I need you to be, or they're going to pretend.
They're going to pretend.
Yeah, and the pretenders do exist. So anybody that don't know that the pretenders is out here,
listen,
they are out here.
Like, I understand where, you know, one person might not be where they want to be in their life. And if I am where I want to be, or not necessarily, but I'm not down on myself about it, I know that I'm putting in the work. I'm here for you. I'm there to support you. But if you have a partner who shuts down in those moments, it's really hard. You don't really know how to be there for them. And if it takes years to get it out of them, you get restless. So you fight because you don't want to give up on that person, but knowing when to let go of certain relationship is key. But when we talk about competition in relationships, I feel like it has a lot to do with ego. And my biggest thing that I've been preaching now is, in healthy relationships, it's not a lot of room for ego. You save that shit for outside. Save that shit for outside of this house. Save it for outside of this relationship, because an ego, it can damage the gentleness that's needed and the compassion that's needed in order to have a healthy relationship.
But see, you gotta ask yourself, it's like the 2 E's. It's like ego and emotion. By nature, women's strength and their weakness is their emotions. By nature. Men, our strength and our weakness is our pride and our ego. And with that being said, going back to the women, I should never try to be more emotional, or I should never be more emotional than my woman, because by nature, y'all won that. You know what I'm saying? And some people get that confused because they feel like emotion is always crying. Emotion can, let me give you an example. Bitch, I told you I was with my boy last night, and some. And then you get, bitch, I said that I told you I was with my boy. It's the same emotion. The minute I become more emotional than my woman, I lost. You see what I'm saying? So, and in the minute a woman becomes,
you feel like she got one up on you because you're more emotional than her.
And yes.
Now she treating you like a bitch ass nigga.
There you go. And the minute you become feeling like a bitch ass nigga, like I called her the other day, and I'm like, bro, I did some bitch ass shit last night. and I had to keep it a buck, because at the end of the day, I recognized, like I said, not just self, I recognized I was petty enough to match that emotional energy. And then women also gotta understand too, you can't be more prideful than your man, because at the end of the day, by nature, we are prideful beings. And the minute you try to compete on that level, you already lost. So you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's a lose-lose the minute we cross that over. And I mean, don't get me wrong, some people want to debate that, but for the most part,
I do. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Because we talk about masculine and feminine energies. Like, that's what I correlate it to. And we both, men and women, have both, but one may dominate in one person over the other. So for me, I've dominated in my masculine energy more than feminine energy. And in return, I attracted feminine men. They were more feminine in how they went about things, like softer, more gentle, and I'm more assertive. Like, I took on the masculine traits. It has a lot to do with the family I come from. And it also has a lot to do with, like I said, the men that I chose.
I see. So you also, putting into a time frame, which is within the last 5 or 7 years?
I'm just my life. Like, I attract more feminine men more than masculine. I'm just now, in the past maybe year or two, been aware of that and been working on shifting it.
But is that like your balance though? Like is that something you see? Do you consider that like passive? Do you?
Yeah, it's more passive.
Okay.
Yeah. So, no, I don't like it. That just because I attracted it, don't mean I like it. I've become aware that this is not for me because it makes me operate in a way that I don't feel is correlated to a woman and being. I want to be soft and I want to be feminine, but when I attract a feminine man, it puts me like in a space. We both can operate in our femininity.
100%. That balance is off.
You hear me? And my balance is off within me. Because I'm operating more in my masculine where I can balance both.
Right.
Same thing with men who operate more in their masculine. They should be able to operate in their feminine too, because there's times where that's needed. And especially dealing with a woman. Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like you prefer masculinity over passiveness and more of a feminine type of approach.
But I had to learn.
But see, it's crazy because I can honestly say in the beginning, meaning young 18 coming up, let me see, boom, had my oldest daughter at the age of 19. In that relationship for 7 years, give or take.
Off and on.
All I knew was compromise. All I knew was this relationship because it was like fresh out of high school. Fast forward, we break up. 7 years later, I move into my own, where I finally grow into independency because now I'm making full blown choices without having to compromise, not having to consider someone else's feelings, considering something, whatever. And with that being said, I'm late 20s at that point, and here we are where I'm just now starting to identify with who I am outside of compromise. And with that being said, I felt like in the beginning I was more aggressive. I was always more aggressive, more emotional as well because I didn't know shit. I was fueled with anger. I was fueled with temper. And then here I am now at my current age, and here I am now where I find myself more passive because of my temper and because of my aggression and because of my police records. But
I feel like that's more of having emotional intelligence.
100%.
You know?
Yes.
And that just comes with maturity. That has nothing to do with being feminine.
Let me tie that back into here because now here I am in a relationship and I'm in more control of myself. Well, I'm really in control of the relationship because I'm dealing with an emotional being. And with that being said, now I control this because I choose when I want to be passive, which is most of the time. But that I don't identify as a feminine male personally. Yeah. You know, it's just like, nah, that's not worth it. Nah, that's not worth it. Nah, block. I get it. I'm being set up. This is the overplay for the underplay.
But are you being dismissive when you doing the block?
No, the blocks come in the sense of me quickly identifying where this is going, where this come from, where this is going. And with that being said, it don't deserve my energy. So with that being said, I'm not finna just be rude and just shun like silence, type some shit like that. But when it come through,
what's this at?
But when the frequency come through, it's like I'm quickly to be like,
you're aware of it.
You're right. You're wrong. What she's saying is valid. You know what I'm saying? So with the validity in that, I can't sit there and be like, okay, what she said, 100%. Or like I said, if I had other shit going on, because that also ties into a bunch of the question marks where we're going with this is I think it depends on what the other person, the other entity is doing. You know what I'm saying? To pull that off too, because some people may be passive because they really don't give a fuck. Some people might be passive because they got other shit going on that's more important, and they just here because this is a stable situation.
Right. It's just for the moment. Like, I ain't even in it.
Now. Shorty paying the bills. Speaking for my niggas.
Damn, Shorty be paying the bills. Minnesota. Women. Stop taking care of these niggas. Y'all hear this?
Yeah, I mean, because 100%, it's a survival
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Keep her around long enough, or keep him around long enough until I catch my next one.
Yeah, for sure. And it might not even be like money or things like that, because people survive off of just the energy, like you keeping me
100%.
alive type shit too. But speaking of like feminine in men, a lot of men try to suppress their emotions because they think that makes them feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that comes from just not having a teacher. And me in my relationships, I find myself trying to teach and guide them on how your emotions don't make you less of a man, but knowing how to navigate your emotions will make you more of a man, to have that emotional intelligence. And I was doing that when I barely had the emotional intelligence, but I know expressing yourself is so much better and healthier than not expressing yourself.
Right.
Because it could blow up into something different, and that's why people, you know, start killing, going to jail, having tempers, because they're not able to express themselves. So like, dump that shit out. Just get used to expressing yourself first, and then the next step will be knowing how to do that in a healthy way.
But see, then you gotta ask yourself, is it healthy to? Because some relationships, I've been in one where I've expressed myself thoroughly, crystal clear, and then all of a sudden that moment come when that boil on her end, and then it get thrown in my face. That's why, nigga, you cry when something. That's why, nigga, you cry. You start throwing everything back.
So men can express themselves. It's not a safe place to be vulnerable with women.
You gotta be careful which women you invest, because I done invested something I know it'll never blow black. And then here we go, I invested into this one where I'm
everything.
And everything came back, and I'm sitting there like,